Welcome to the ClearPath ePortal Developer Capabilities demonstration. This video is part of a series of videos which explain the steps to develop different types of data sources and presentation projects in ePortal Developer for modernizing ClearPath applications. This demonstration will show you how to create a data source project for an OS2200 UTS application. The OS2200 UTS application used in this demonstration is a DPS bank application that implements some simple banking operations such as accessing account balance and transferring funds between accounts. Let's get started. For this demonstration, a UTS Data Source project is already created with the project name DPS Bank Data Source and the solution name UTS Data Source. Each UTS screen that needs to be a part of the modernized application is captured as a data source record, server message, and client message. The server messages flow between the ClearPath server and ePortal runtime, whereas client messages flow between ePortal runtime and the final presentation application. Now, let's start with the first development step and capture the UTS screens to be modernized. In the Solution Explorer window, right-click the UTS emulator .utscfg file and click Open. The UTS Connection Properties dialog box appears. The server name is the DNS name or IP address of the OS2200 server hosting the UTS sample application. In this case, it is rs20.rsvl.unisys.com. Terminal identifier specifies a unique terminal identifier used by the emulator when it connects to the OS2200 system. In this case, it is Site21. Terminal ID prefix specifies a prefix for the terminal identifier. When the presentation project runs, the ePortal runtime automatically generates a unique terminal ID using this prefix appended with a generated suffix. Leave it to the default value of EP. Application specifies the name of the host application or host operating mode to be accessed. Select the value UDS SRC. TSAP specifies the desired transport service access point. It can be up to 32 characters. In this case, select TIP CSU. Initial transaction specifies the word or phrase sent to host when communication with the host is established for the first time. This could be a TIP transaction code when using a TIP connection, or an ECL command to execute for a demand connection. In this case, let's enter the TIP transaction code DPS-BNK. Click OK. The UTS terminal emulator screen appears. The first screen of the DPS Bank application is the main menu screen. This screen lists all the banking operations. Now, let's capture the main menu screen. On the screen, right-click and select Add Screen to Project. Enter a unique screen name. In this case, it is Main Menu, and click OK. The ePortal data source record file is created with the .uts XML extension and opens in an editor window. The next step is to add a page identification region. This region is used during ePortal runtime processing to identify the server message. Highlight Main Menu in the top row, right-click and select Add Page Identification Region. A default name for the region is assigned and appears in the Properties window. If you want to use the same region as the page identification region for other screens, at the same place, with the same length, but have unique values, then you can set the default field property to true. Now, the date and time values are dynamic. So, highlight the date and right-click and select Add Dynamic Region. In its Properties window, change the ID value as date. Since the date value will appear on the same region with the same length for other screens, let's set the default field property to true. Similarly, add dynamic region for time and change the ID value as time, and also set the default field property to true. Now, select the first input field Enter Service, and in the Properties window, change its ID value to Enter Service. Let's now return to the UTS emulator screen. Enter service value as 1 for the View Account Balance option and Transmit. The Account Balance screen appears. Let's capture this screen and name it Accounts Balances. Let's add Accounts Balances as the page identification region of this page. Notice that the date and time is automatically identified as dynamic region, since the default field property is set to true. If a screen has variable data that needs to appear on the modernized screen, you must identify that data as protected areas known as dynamic regions. Account balances details are variable data and each row is a dynamic region. Data for this region will be in an array where each item will hold data for one row displayed here. So, select the first row starting from the first non-blank character to the last non-blank character. Right-click and select Add Dynamic Region Array. The Dynamic Region Array dialog box appears. Select 3 for array size and click OK. This selects all the 3 rows in the Accounts display area as dynamic region. Now, in the Properties window, change the ID value to Accounts. Click the Collection Browse button of the Template Fields property. The Field Collection Editor dialog box appears. Let's add the members for the Accounts template field and their field length. Click the Add button to add all the 3 columns of the dynamic region as members. Account number with length 6, account description with length 25, account balance with length 12. Click OK. This creates an Accounts Type template field which can be used to display account details for future screens. Now, return to the UTS emulator screen and transmit to return to the main menu screen. Now enter service value as 3 for the transfer funds option and transmit. Again, capture this screen and name it as transfer funds. Now add transfer funds as the page identification region of this page. Next, let's change the default IDs of the input fields. For transfer from account as from, transfer to account as to. Similarly, change the default IDs of the fields amount, recurring transaction, frequency, and email confirmation. Let's save all the changes. Now, return to the UTS emulator screen and let's perform fund transfers to generate the confirmation screen. Enter 2 for transfer from account, 1 for transfer to account, and 1 for amount and transmit. The Confirm Transfer screen appears. Similarly, you can capture the screens, add page identification regions, set dynamic regions, and change the default IDs of the input fields for other options of the UTS application. Next, click the ePortal message window and notice that all the server messages and corresponding client messages are generated because all the screens were captured. This completes the demonstration on OS 2200 UTS Data Source project. Unisys offers a comprehensive set of ClearPath services to enrich the value of your ClearPath applications, data and systems. Please contact your Unisys representative for more information.